When did you realize that you're dating an idiot?
The night I said that I thought I smelled gas, and they grabbed a lighter and struck it without hesitation.
When kids egged his car and he thought the best way to get the egg off was to use steel wool.
My wife would bring stuff home that said refrigerate after opening, open it, and put it in the refrigerator.
She didn't know that yogurt and pudding were not the same thing. She thought it was like how the British call fries chips. She had been eating pudding and granola for breakfast for months and congratulating herself for being so healthy. She also baked baby Jesus a birthday cake on Christmas, lit a candle and took it outside. When the wind blew the candle out, she was convinced it's Jesus that blew it out.
We were talking about dinosaurs and he was shocked to hear they were real. Then he proceeded to ask me if they really breathed fire. He thought dinosaurs and dragons were the same thing.
She didn't understand that you actually have to pay what you spent on credit cards. Like the credit amount she had was supposed to be her monthly limit that just resets each month.
My ex wanted to start a business making supplies for baby showers. Her business plan was to sell everything below cost to increase sales. After I had explained numerous times that you cannot profit from a business that will inevitably lose money, her reply was that I was the idiot because if she sold them cheap, it would drum up more business and she would sell more that way.
One day they looked at me and said we should make a trip to New York. I said, I think that would be fun, but we really don't have the money to fly there right now. It's not that far. We lived in Portland, Oregon at the time. New York is next to Canada, and Canada is just past Washington. It can't be that far away.
Stacking cups in the dishwasher.
1990. We live in central Alabama. She told me that her and her best friend were going to Birmingham for the weekend. Didn't think anything of it. There's lots of shopping and things to do in Birmingham. Came over Sunday night to tell me how disappointed she was in the trip. They had driven through all of the wealthier neighborhoods in Birmingham, Alabama for 2 days trying to find a house that matched the gates to Ozzy Osbourne's house and never found it. He lives in Birmingham, England.
She told me Apple Music was bullshit because it only had covers of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata and not the original.
She walked into a computer lab on campus and simply picked up a computer and walked home with it. She was living with me at the time, so I get home to find a very familiar looking computer sitting on the kitchen table. She literally thought the computers were free for students. It took a bit of explaining to convince her that she stole the computer. I made her return the computer to the lab that night. She left it at the doorstep.
He thought you absorb a gallon of water when you shower, so he didn't need to drink water.
When she asked me, have you ever had your hair set on fire and then lit my hair on fire? We done.
She hasn't noticed yet.
He could not find our country on Europe's map. The countries were written in bold, and the capitals too.
My ex-wife. The doctor said her test came back positive. She said, "Does that mean I'm not pregnant?" I knew at that moment I was in for a long ride.
When she was choosing random pills from the blister of a 21 active, 7 placebo contraceptive instead of following the arrows on the package.
I asked my ex-girlfriend to marry me. She said yes. That was when I knew. Married 25 years now. What a beautiful dope she is.
Calls me at work because her crumpets don't fit in the crumpet tray under the toaster. Crumpet tray? Had a look when I got home, clearly labeled crumb tray.
Doing a fun fact about me icebreaker in a group, and his was I've never read a book.
She got thrown out from a bar and nearly arrested because another woman complimented my shirt, and she was convinced that meant she wanted to bang me.
The fool would bang on my dashboard and scream the name of a certain restaurant whenever I drove past it. After almost getting into a wreck twice, I asked him why he was trying to kill us. He said he did it because it was his thing. He never rode in my car again.
When my ex asked me where they grew spaghetti.
One night he turned to me and said, "You're a bit of a scientist." I was taking biology in high school. He was in college for music. "Can you explain how I can take frozen yogurt from the freezer put it in the fridge and it melts. And I, already concerned, replied, well, the fridge is warmer. It's not cold enough to keep it frozen, and he the asked, but it's still cold. And I had to explain that there are different levels of cold. Somewhere along the way, I said cold is the absence of heat like darkness is the absence of light, and he was so mind-blown by that.
When she told me she was a flat earth person.
When I overheard her complaining, I was too worried about money after she financed a 30 car with an insane interest rate while making $15 an hour.
The day I told my girlfriend I think I broke my toe, and her solution was to yank on it with all her might. It was gout.
After her third business opportunity turned out to be another pyramid scheme. We didn't date long, but knew each other for a while before that. I liked her for her work hard, get paid attitude. Turns out the hard work she was doing was costing her way more than she made and didn't realize it.
I'm going to throw myself under the bus here because I think it's funny, but I used to think horns in cars only had so much air to use, so you had to use your horn sparingly and only when you really needed it, or it would run out. I feel like someone had to have told me this while growing up.
I gave my girlfriend a gift, a box with something in it, and after she opened it and saw what it was, I told her to check it again because it's gone. I don't know why I said that. I think I was joking to confuse her or be silly or something. But without opening the box, the gift was still in there. She started screaming and ran to the other side of the room, believing that I had just performed dark magic or something. She later told me that she believed I was a witch or a demon when I told her that I made it disappear.
My ex was scared of hedgehogs and convinced himself they could jump over a 6-foot fence like a cat.
She didn't want to watch the original Avatar movie, Blue People, until her uncle told her that it was based on a true story. I asked her if she meant that it was a futuristic version of Pocahontas, but no, she thought that it was somehow based on a true story. Then asked if I was calling our uncle a liar. Follow-up questions like asking if she really thought we waged war against an alien society went equally poorly. We were 18 years old, FYI.
When he suggested that we should have a shared banking accounts after only dating less than a month,
she asked me if I could name all 52 states.
She yelled at me for not answering her snaps quickly enough. I was at work. We're not dating anymore.
I once asked my ex to start boiling the potatoes for dinner about 20 minutes before I got home so that they would be close to ready for me to mash up as the side for dinner. I got home right as he put them in the water. He had to call his dad to ask how to boil potatoes. He also, a month later, argued with my dad on the best way to replace a '98 Honda Civic alternator. My dad was a master certified Honda technician in the late 90s, early 2000s, specializing in cars and minivans. My dad very much knew what he was talking about.
An ex once asked in all sincerity, do people who speak other languages think in English? What? Well, all my thoughts are in English, and I assume we all think the same way. We were 22 years old. This was not a keeper. She needed to move for work, and I didn't.
When I realized when they said they worked in freelance advertising, it meant he was in a spray paint gang.
My now husband, when we were first dating, told me that he believed that all plants could be classified as either a fruit or a vegetable. After we were married, he told me he thought platypus were the size of golden retrievers.
he thought the moon emitted its own light. Didn't understand that the moon reflects light from the sun. Also thought Alaska was somewhere out in the Pacific Ocean because that's how the U.S. maps show it, out in the ocean. We're not together anymore, LOL.
I introduced him to my stepsister. He said, "Weird, you guys look nothing alike."
He said a black guy giving him a parking ticket was trying to get back at him for slavery. I left.
Briefly dated a stupidly beautiful Thai guy. Very chill, loving, sincere Buddhist. It's been years and I'm not super clear on what he meant, but he was going on saying something about generating good karma by doing good deeds. So that's cool. I approve. Then he tells me he's gone to the Asian market and bought a cooler full of live fish and released them into a large local lake here in North Carolina. Species of non-native fish and frogs, potentially carrying pathogens. I actually cried out when he told me. He was baffled that I should be upset and basically said that I was unkind and didn't know what I was talking about, that fish are fish and it was a good thing. He said he's done it several times before. I tried to explain about invasive species, bacteria, viruses, food chains, etc., but he never could grasp it.
I still wonder if he introduced something terrible.
Stupidly beautiful and stupidly stupid.